Hi, cuties. It's Grammy back again with Alessia and Neve and my two silly friends. They don't have names. Maybe you can think of some names. This one's going to say hello with her silly long nose. Hello. Okay, chapters 3 and 4 of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. They were strange looking, a group of wet creatures. The birds' feathers were drenched and the animals' fur was clinging to them. The first question, of course, was how to get dry. They talked all this over and Alice joined in as if she had known them all her life. At last, the dodo rose to his feet and said, "I move that the meeting be over. For the immediate adoption of an energetic remedy, speak English," said the eaglet. "I don't understand anything you just said, and I don't think you do either." The eaglet bent down its head to hide a smile. "What I was going to say," said the dodo, "was that the best thing to get us dry would be a race." "What is a race?" said Alice. "Why," said the dodo, "the best way to explain it is to do it." The dodo marked out a race course. It was a sort of a circle, and then everyone was placed along the course here and there. There was no 1, 2, 3, go. But everyone began running when they liked and stopped when they liked, so it was not easy to know when the race was over. However, when they had been running a half an hour or so, they were quite dry. The dodo suddenly called out, "The race is over," and they all crowded around it, panting and asking, "Who has won?" The dodo thought and declared, "Everybody has won, and everybody must have prizes." "But who's going to give the prizes?" "Why, she is, of course," said the dodo, pointing to Alice. The whole party crowded around her, calling out, "Prizes, prizes!" Alice had no idea what to do, and she put her hand in her pocket and pulled out a box of candies, which had stayed nicely dry. She handed them out as prizes. There was exactly one for each of them. "But she must have a prize for herself, you know," said the mouse. "Of course," the dodo replied. "What else have you got in your pocket?" it went on, turning to Alice. "Only a thimble," Alice said sadly. "Hand it over here," said the dodo. Then they all crowded around her once more while the dodo presented the thimble, saying, "We beg you to accept this thimble." When it was finished, when it finished the speech, they all cheered. Alice thought the whole thing very strange, but she bowed and took the thimble, looking as serious as she could. Then they sat down in a circle and begged the mouse to tell them a story. "You promised to tell a story, you know," said Alice, "about why you hate seas," she said in a whisper, afraid that she would upset him again. "Mine is a long and sad tale," said the mouse, turning to Alice and sighing. Alice looked at the mouse's tail. "It is a long tale," said Alice, "but why do you call it sad?" And she kept wondering about it while the mouse was speaking, and this is what she saw in her mind while the mouse told his story. Furry said to a mouse that he met in the house, "Let us both go to the law. I will prosecute you. Come, I'll take no denial. We must have a trial. For really this morning I've nothing to do," said the mouse to the cat. "Such a trial as that, with no jury or judge, would be wasting our breath. I'll be judge, I'll be jury." purred cunning old furry. Then I'll try the whole case and put you to death? You are not listening, said the mouse to Alice. What are you thinking of? I beg your pardon, Alice said. You had gotten to the 5th curve of your tail, I think. I had not, cried the mouse. A knot, said Alice. Oh, do let me help you undo it. I shall do nothing of the sort, said the mouse, getting up and walking away. You have insulted me talking such nonsense. I didn't mean it, said Alice. The mouse only growled in reply. Please come back and finish your story, Alice called out to it, and all the others joined in. Yes, please do, but the mouse only shook his head and walked away quickly. What a pity, said the Lory. An old crab said to her daughter, let this be a lesson to never lose your temper. Hold your tongue, Mom, the young crab said a little snappishly. You're enough to try the patience of an oyster. I wish I had Dinah here, said Alice aloud to no one in particular. She would bring that mouse back. And who is Dinah, if I might ask? Alice replied eagerly, Dinah's my cat. She's very good at catching mice. And oh, you should see her catch birds, while she'll eat a little bird as soon as she looks at it. This made the creatures uncomfortable. Some of the birds flew away immediately. An old magpie quickly gathered itself up and said, I really must be getting home. And a canary called out in a trembling voice to its children, Come away, my dears, it's time you were all in bed. Alice was soon left alone. I wish I hadn't mentioned Dinah. Nobody seems to like her down here. I wonder if I will ever see her any more. Alice began to cry again, and she felt lonely. In a while, she heard a little pattering of footsteps. She looked up eagerly, hoping the mouse had changed his mind and was coming back to finish the story. It was the White Rabbit, looking around as it came toward her. She heard it muttering to itself, the Duchess, oh my dear paws, oh my fur and whiskers, she'll have me executed, where could I have dropped them? Alice knew it was looking for the fan and a pair of white gloves, and she began hunting for them, but they were nowhere to be found. The rabbit noticed Alice and called out to her in an angry tone, Why, Marianne, what are you doing here? Run home this moment and fetch me a pair of gloves and a fan. Quick now. Alice was so frightened that she ran off in the direction that it pointed to without trying to explain that she was not Marianne. She came to a neat little house on the door with a bright brass plate with the name W. Rabbit engraved on it. She went in without knocking and hurried upstairs in great fear that she would meet the real Marianne, who might tell her to leave before Alice had found the fan and the gloves. How strange it is, Alice said to herself, to be taking orders from a rabbit. She found a little room with a table by the window, and on it there was a fan and 2 or 3 pairs of tiny white gloves. She picked up the fan and a pair of the gloves and was going to leave the room when in her eye she spied a bottle near the mirror. There was no label this time with the words "Drink me," but she took the cork out and put it to her lips. I know something will happen. I do hope it will make me grow big again. I'm tired of being little. She grew sooner than she had expected. Before she had drunk half the bottle, her head was pressing against the ceiling. She quickly put down the bottle and said, "I hope I won't grow any more." It was too late to wish that. She kept growing and growing, and soon she had to kneel down on the floor. When she was too big for that, she tried lying down with one elbow against the door and the other arm curled around her head. On and on she grew. She put one arm out the window, one foot up the chimney, and that was all the room she had. What will happen to me? Luckily for Alice, the little magic bottle had now had its full effect and she stopped growing. She felt very uncomfortable, and it seemed that she would not be going anywhere for a while. After a few minutes had passed, she heard a voice outside. "Marianne, Marianne," said the voice. "Fetch me my gloves this moment." Then came a little pattering of feet on the stairs. Alice knew it was the rabbit coming to look for her. The rabbit came to the door and tried to open it, but the door opened inward, and Alice's elbow was pressing hard against it. Alice heard it say, "Then I'll go around to the window and climb in that way." "No, you won't," thought Alice. When she heard the rabbit outside the window, she spread out her hand and made a grab at the air. She did not get a hold of anything, but she heard a little shriek, a fall, and broken glass. Next, she heard the rabbit's angry voice. "Pat, Pat, where are you?" And then she heard a voice that she'd never heard before. "I'm here, digging for apples, Your Honor." "Digging for apples indeed," said the rabbit. "Come here and help me out of this." There were sounds of more broken glass. "Now, Pat, what do you see in that window?" "An arm, Your Honor." "An arm, you goose. Whoever saw one that size? Why, it fills the whole window." "Sure does, Your Honor, but it's an arm all the same." "Well, it's got no business there. Go and take it away." There was a long silence after this, and Alice could only hear whispers. Then she went for a while without hearing anything at all. Suddenly there was a rumbling of a cart's wheels and the sound of many voices all talking at once. "Where's the other ladder?" "Why, I didn't bring that one." "Bill's got the other." "Bill, fetch it here, lad. Here, put 'em up at this corner." "No, tie 'em together first. They don't reach high enough." "Oh, they are fine." "Don't be particular." "Oh, it's coming down. Heads below." A loud crash. "Oh, so Bill gets to come down the chimney, does he?" said Alice to herself. "They seem to make Bill do everything. I wouldn't be in Bill's place for anything. This fireplace is narrow, but I think I can kick it a little." She pulled her foot back as far as she could and waited until she heard a little animal scratching and scrambling in the chimney close above her. She said to herself, "This is Bill," and gave one sharp kick and waited to see what happened next. She heard everyone shout, "There goes Bill!" The rabbit's voice screamed, "Catch him! Catch him by the hedge!" There was silence and then more voices. "Hold up his head, don't choke him. How are you, little fellow? Tell us all about it," she heard a voice softly say. "Well, I hardly know, but I'm too worn out to tell you everything. All I know is that something came at me like a jack-in-the-box, and up I went like a skyrocket." "So you did, old fellow," said the others. "We must burn the house down," said the rabbit's voice. Alice called out as loud as she could, "If you do, I'll send Dinah after you." There was a long silence. Alice thought to herself, "I wonder what they will do next." After a minute or two, they began moving around again, and Alice heard the rabbit say, "A wheelbarrow full will be enough." A barrow full of what? Thought Alice. She didn't have long to think when a shower of little pebbles came rattling through the window. Some of them hit her in the face. I'll put a stop to that, she said to herself. She shouted out, "You better not do that again." There was a long silence. Alice noticed that the pebbles were all turning into little cakes as they lay on the floor. This gave Alice an idea. If I eat one of these cakes, it's sure to make some change in my size. It can't possibly make me larger, and it may make me smaller. And she was delighted to find that she began shrinking. As soon as she was small enough to get through the door, she ran out of the house and found a crowd of little animals and birds waiting outside. They all made a rush at Alice, but she ran away as fast as she could. She soon found herself safe in some thick woods. Alice thought, the first thing I need to do is grow to my right size again, and then I will find a way back to the beautiful garden. It sounded like a good plan, but she didn't have the slightest idea how she would do it. There was a large mushroom growing near her. It was just her height. She looked all around and decided to see what was on top of it. She stretched herself up on tiptoe and looked over the edge of the mushroom. Her eyes met the eyes of a large blue caterpillar that was sitting on top with its arms folded and quietly smoking a long pipe. The end for today. Mwah. And here's a second kiss.